Okay, we're live. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, good evening, depending where in the world you're joining us from. Uh, my name is Alcatraz. I'm a senior designer with Raini, working on our TCG, The Lords of Light. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us today for the first of what we're hoping to be a weekly community AMA, where we're going to basically have a chat with the community, answer any questions you may have about the project, the game, the design, decisions that go into various things. We can, chat about different cards. We can give some information potentially about upcoming cards or NFT drops and stuff like that. But yeah, overall, it's just a really great chance for us to connect, be really open and transparent with our community, and yeah, give you guys as much information as we can about the project and what we're all up to. So we'll go through and do some quick introductions of everyone who is on the stream today. As I said, my name is Alcatraz. I'm a senior designer. I've been with Rainy Studios now for almost 2 months, I think. Although I did actually do some work with the project just over a year ago, back in the early stages, helping to do some of the initial design as well. Artkin?
Thanks, Alcatraz. Yeah, I'm Utkin. For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm one of the two co-founders of Rainy. So been building out the Rainyverse since March of 2021. We're coming up towards our second birthday soon, which is pretty exciting. Good timing to unveil the Rainy Studios rebrand. We've evolved the project a lot over time. It's really headed in a lot of different directions. But our central focus has always been on making a really engaging, immersive game as our flagship and potentially expanding into multiple titles from there. So, yeah, really excited to have Alcatraz rejoin us since he did some of the best game design work I've seen, and excited for what should be a really big year for us in 2023. We've got a whole bunch of really big things planned. And yeah, it's really nice to see RTLOL, the TCG, have gotten to the point it's at now, and all the stuff we're working on in the background, which I'm sure you guys will appreciate in the future. I'll pass it over to Drazni Bar if you're online as well, mate.
Yeah, I'm here. Hello, guys. Draz, I'm just a general humble community member. Been here since before the first Genesis drop, and will be here for a very long time. Just helping out today with the questions and things, and maybe asking the questions, and the guys will answer them for you. That's it from me. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, so obviously, if you haven't been on Twitter in the past 24 hours, definitely jump on and check out the Rainy Twitter. We've had some pretty interesting announcements. The main one being obviously that we have officially rebranded to Rainy Studios. So very, very excited about that. If you've been playing RTLOL over the past few days, you may have seen the logo sneak in there a little early before the announcement. There's a little bit of an Easter egg there. But yeah, definitely jump on Twitter and have a look at that and read the medium around the announcement. We're definitely very excited. And I have no doubt, I haven't looked at some of the questions we've got for today, but I have no doubt there'll be some questions relating to that as well. Probably the other cool thing that we're doing on this stream, so you may have noticed that I'm screen sharing at the moment. This is actually the Lords of Light running in a very early version of our standalone build. So obviously one of the big things we're doing at the moment is we've been developing the game supporting web. We're moving to standalone to basically allow us to expand the game significantly more, allow us to have a lot more cards, cool abilities, stuff like that in there as well. So yeah, I just figured as we were chatting today, I'd have this open, especially just so if there's any questions around like specific cards and stuff like that, we can just jump in and show them. And if there isn't any questions, we can always jump in and play some games as well. But I'm seeing a lot of questions coming through on Telegram, so I'm pretty sure we're going to have lots to talk about today. But yeah, why don't we jump in and yeah, Draz, if you've got the first question there, we'll start chatting.
Yeah, sure. From Michael JNZ on the Telegram, the first question: are the 7 heroes we've been using going to be in the second card drop, or maybe a later one? And just onto that, if so, what rarity are they?
Yeah, I mean, I can take this one. It's a good question. Thanks for sending that through. I'll give you guys a bit of an update on where we're at with the heroes, first of all. We've actually had the art, very high quality, awesome looking art, produced for all 35 classes of the hero. 7 of those classes you'll see in the game at the moment, which are the heroes we're using now. Um, and our intention for the heroes at this stage is to help make the game accessible. We're going to make 7 of the heroes equivalent to what we've got at the moment as base cards, where they'll be universally accessible and free to play. It's just so there's no barrier to entry and escrowing the player base. The other 28 heroes, the intention is that they will be available as NFT purchases in a way that is similar to a card pack. So you will be able to open a hero and you have a chance at getting one of the rarer ones or one of the mid-level ones. The exact time of that NFT drop, we've got a schedule that's tentatively booked in. But because we don't have any firm dates that we've committed to, we're not yet able to unveil that. But that's the plan for the heroes. So the intention at the moment is to make them separate to the card pack drops, but available probably in a similar time frame to the second pack drop.
Yeah, cool. And yeah, obviously, really important to have all those, I guess, base heroes accessible to anyone through the game. Because if you haven't played the game, or you haven't played recently, one of the things that happens, I've just got this up on the screen at the moment. So when you build a deck and jump into a game, you actually pick one of the heroes that you have available on your account. So at the moment, everyone has those 7 base heroes unlocked. And based on the color of that hero, you'll actually start the game with a mana gem of that color as well. So quite often, like say for example, I was going to play my blue freeze deck here. I would probably go in and pick the blue hero. So I would obviously start with a blue gem, so it gives me a bit of a head start in the game. But one of the cool things that we're finding a lot of players actually doing, because some of the most powerful cards in the game being the rainbow cards that need you to have several different colors of gems available to you. What you might find players doing is they might play maybe a blue deck, or maybe I've got like a red yellow deck here that works really nicely. I might play the red yellow deck, but actually pick like the green hero. It's not as big of a benefit early on in the game, but it can be very, very powerful for actually enabling those rainbow cards in the late game as well. So a lot of cool strategy around using the heroes in the actual game. Draz, yeah, let's go to the
Yeah,
next
sweet.
question.
Question 3, I suppose. Zoom VA, Chad Rainy.eth on Telegram. When RTX optimization?
I saw this question come through
Yes.
the other day. I'll take this one,
Sure.
Artkin, if that's cool. Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, especially now that we're moving to standalone builds. And I will actually, I don't know if we've said this publicly yet, but we will be supporting standalone on both Windows and Mac. And the Mac builds will be fully optimized for Apple Silicon. So if you have like an M1 or an M2 MacBook, you'll be fully supported on there. And the experience you'll have running the game in that standalone mode is significantly better than what we get on web at the moment. RTX ray tracing is an interesting beast. Depending on which game devs you talk to, some will say it's a bit of a gimmick, but it's also something that's relatively restricted to people who have very high-end hardware. I mean, if you look on Steam does their Steam charts every year, where they actually show like what the average hardware is that people are using to play games on Steam. And a lot of game developers will actually use that as like a benchmark of like, well, okay, we want our game to be as open and accessible to as many people as possible. So we want to make sure we're building the game in a way that one still looks amazing. And our art team has done some amazing things, especially now that we're moving to standalone, to make both the environments and the cards and all the animations look really, really good. So you'll see more of that rolling out over the coming months. But yeah, we've got to balance that out with still being accessible so that people, for example, if you've got just, a basic MacBook Air, you still want to be able to play the game and have that same experience. So we're probably never going to support something directly like, say, ray tracing. We may, over time, as hardware gets more accessible, and that's definitely happening more now that graphics cards are becoming relatively normal pricing and availability again. Last year wasn't great if you were trying to build a gaming PC, unfortunately. But yeah, generally speaking, we'll be building features that support our full player base as much as possible, as opposed to specific things like, say, RTX.
Sweet. There's a question from Trixo on the Discord, which was when to expect new medium, but that's already obviously been answered by today's super announcement, which is excellent. That's fantastic, the Raini Studios.
Yeah, so that one came out today. We've actually got a really big couple of weeks coming, so there's probably going to be another medium in a matter of days as well. We just had too much to fit into one, and some big announcements to come. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, there's already a medium that went up earlier today, and keep an eye out because we've got another one coming imminently.
Very nice.
You could almost say that it's going to be a big new year for RTLOL.
Sweet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which Artkin will get that reference and no one else will yet. But anyway.
Big video, right. Loft Hank in the Discord. What is the ETA for when RTLOL card leasing renting will be available? And will prices be predetermined or picked by users? He can see this as a great opportunity for passive income for early adopters. And there's a bunch of questions from Crypto Cloaker in on the leasing of cards as well, time-based.
Sure. So yeah, it's a really good question, and we still have every intention of building card leasing / renting into the game. In terms of the time frame, the goal is to have that ready for the official game launch. So the sort of timeframes we're looking at the moment, we want to progress to open beta this quarter, by the end of this quarter. And then in Q2 this year, that's where we're looking at doing the full game launch and the Photon token TG. At that time, that would be the earliest that we would look at enabling card renting. As you know, if you've been participating in the alpha testing, right now, all the cards are enabled by default. You don't actually have to own any cards to play. That's not going to be the case indefinitely. At some point, we will make it so you need to own the accounts or have them enabled. You're going to have to earn or buy them. That's going to be more as we get towards the full game launch. So yeah, the goal is to have card leasing online at the same time as full game launch. If there are any delays, then it'll be online slightly after that. It really depends on how we go with our dev priorities to get the full game launch done as our main priority. In terms of the pricing, the plan at the moment is we're looking at a couple of different options for that. So, but our preference is definitely to have a strong element of free market economics determining the card price rentals rather than us setting arbitrary numbers. So if we can do it in a way that allows the free market to determine, that's going to be our preference. But there are a few different ways we might look at implementing that in practice. Yeah.
Nice. Are you able to answer things like from Crypto Cloaker there? Will the leasing of cards be time-based or number of games-based? Those sort of details, are they going to wait till later? Like, will landlord of cards be able to stipulate lending rates? You sort of mentioned that, I suppose, just then. But the details about time-based or games-based, that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really locked down the terms of this. So we have a few different models we've been exploring. As I said, our preference is for it to be more determined by the free market. So the more flexibility we can give to the owners of the cards and the renters of the cards, the better. But yeah, in terms of what that's going to look like in practice, since we haven't locked anything down at this point, you'll have to stay tuned as we get closer to that full game launch.
Yeah, sweet. That's fair enough. Definitely. Khaled on Telegram. I'm just wondering though, is Raini's focus basically on RTLOL and then developing third-party games? And then he goes, or Apollo did sort of tend to answer by saying, I can say resources on board to execute everything that's been taken on. and he knows Artkin is extremely mindful of all this stuff. This is a long-term deal.
Yeah, so it's a good question in light of the Rainy Studios announcement today. I will say that primary focus for a long time has been the trading card game, RTLOL, and there's no change to that with the announcement today. It's still our principal focus where we are allocating the vast majority of our resources. We want RTLOL, the TCG, to be our flagship game with a really competitive, vibrant esports scene with a lot of tournaments, with a lot of player base to showcase like what we can do and what we've built. So that is our primary focus and what we are principally investing in. The licensing of the games to other NFT studios is more a separate spin-off team that we're allocating to that. We're not actually taking any resources away from the TCG to do any of the development of these other games. If you saw the medium as well, we've agreed with another project, which we'll release the name and details of shortly, to publish their game. But that's actually being developed by their team, so that doesn't take anything away from us. And then, yeah, the medium indicated, aside from the trading card game, we are working on another full game, but that is a lower priority than the TCG. So I would just say that, yeah, the trading card game is still our central focus and our primary, yeah,
Yeah,
our
I guess
primary point.
just to sort of reinforce that point, like probably the best way to sort of put it, like we have a team which consists of like many full-time team members, most of which, especially on the game dev and design side of things, are based in Australia. Those full-time team members who were full-time on RTLOL last week will still be full-time this week and next week on RTLOL specifically. It'll be additional teams spinning up to support those other products that we're sort of working on. And obviously taking advantage of the fact that like a lot of the work that we've done with RTLOL, especially if we are looking specifically in terms of blockchain integration, NFT contracts, that sort of thing, can be directly applicable to other projects as well. So especially with that other project that we are working with on more of a publishing capacity, it's really an opportunity to work with, again, very, very talented teams with awesome games, but take advantage of our expertise in those areas to just help uplift and release better products.
Excellent. Crypto Cloaker, how do you intend to maintain buy pressure on the Rainy token? Obviously, what you're doing is doing that, but yeah, if you can elaborate a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, the main way you add sustainable buy pressure to a token is by ensuring there's a large amount of value accrual that ties back to the Rainy token. So I don't know if you guys have been following the mediums in the past, but the Rainy token is always intended to be kind of like an index of the game studio more broadly. So we intend to incorporate, I guess, ways for value to accrue back to Rainy holders and stakers and ecosystem participants for all of the games that we develop in-house. So all the games that we're launching, we've got the TCG and then the other one we're working on. They will both tie back to the Rainy game. The intention from there is if we, get some momentum and start developing a bunch more games, that there's always going to be a way that the games tie back into providing advantages to Rainy token holders. In the short term, I guess the way you put buy pressure on a Rainy token is you get Icebags to tweet about it. Like that seems to work pretty well yesterday. But yeah, long term, it's all about that value accrual. So that's always been at the back of our minds when we're building, I guess, the tokenomics and the foundations of every game.
Sweet. Will, from Crypto Cloaker again, will Lords of Light have any Photon game prize pool aspects?
Yes, and we'll tell you more soon.
I guess the only thing I'd expand there is, yeah, like I was saying earlier, the RTLOL TCG, we are very focused on making that a competitive esports type thing. So, if you guys participated in the community tournament last month, we intend to do a whole bunch more events like that. There will be benefits for participating in the tournament. So even if you don't place well, you still will get benefits. As we go forward, there's always like you don't necessarily have to win to get the prize, but the rewards will be heavily skewed towards the best players, the ones who are, I guess, performing best in these tournaments. So if you want to maximize your expected return, I would say your best course of action is to get in the game and start grinding, practicing, experiment with a bunch of decks, and just familiarize yourself with all the cards, the meta, the play style, and go from there.
I'll throw a little teaser out there as well. And I know I mentioned this in the Telegram just after our last community event. So obviously internally, the designers, like we have all our own decks that we use for testing. We try to predict what the metagame is going to look like, so that we can, as we're adding new cards in future sets and as we're tweaking various things about the game, we want to make sure it's a fun, balanced experience across the board. We saw some really cool, innovative decks come out of that last community event. But we still have one deck that we use for testing that I still think beats every other deck that everyone's playing in the format at the moment. The community hasn't discovered it yet, so keep looking, it's there. I mean, maybe Huncho already has it and he's just sitting on it for the next tournament, I don't know. But yeah, there is definitely still lots of innovative strategies with the current cards that have been released. And obviously, as we move forward, we might talk a little bit about this, maybe in this one or maybe like in next week's AMA. But as we are releasing new packs, we are going to not go out of our way to drastically shift the meta. But there will be obviously, some colors might get a little bit stronger, or some particular playing styles, whether that be like aggressive decks, control decks, or combo decks, might get a little bit weaker or stronger every time new cards come out as well.
Exciting stuff. From Crypto Cloaker again, with your future plans for a mobile version of Lords of Light, how do you intend to integrate wallets crypto to attract the normies?
Yeah, this is Art, can you cool if I take this one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cool. This is a big thing, and this is something that I think Web3 gaming has struggled with up to now, and it's one of the reasons why I think you'll find, especially in 2023, the most successful Web3 games are the games that hire, this is just me tooting my own horn here for a second, but hire traditional Web2 game developers, designers, stuff like that. Because figuring out how to get a person into a game and getting them sticky and engaged is not a new problem, especially on mobile. Like, the App Store's been around for 10 years. This is something we've been dealing with for 10 years now, of trying to get people into mobile games. Wallet integration, it's new. It does add a layer of complexity compared to what other games have had to deal with, but it's nothing that's not solvable. So we definitely have plans around not only how we are planning on doing our wallet integration for mobile, but also keep in mind, like, standalone will be different to like our current web-based wallet integration, where we've got like MetaMask integration and stuff like that. So yeah, I also want to just preface this with, yes, we have future plans for a mobile version of RTLOL, but please don't expect to see that anytime soon. That will absolutely not be before the full game launch. The full game launch will be Windows and Mac standalone based. But yeah, obviously, as I've mentioned in Telegram a few times, like we plan things 6 to 12 months ahead. So yeah, mobile is definitely on our horizon. And yeah, working with good partners. So obviously we're very excited about our Avalanche partnership that we announced recently. Was that God? That was last year. God, time flies. But yeah, it's definitely working out a very frictionless, low barrier of entry way of getting someone into the game, getting them onboarded, getting them through the tutorial, and getting them playing the game is something that we are actively looking at.
Excellent. We're just lucky you guys are so clever. Okay, just a question from Crypto Cloaker, just going through these as they are in order. Will there be an option to leverage your wildlife donation interests e.g., or that is, opt for any revenues made by players to be allocated to a wildlife fund of your choice.
That's a good idea. It's not really something that's been raised before, but yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason why down the track we wouldn't be able to work out a way to funnel yeah, some photon at the discretion of the players to the wildlife organizations that we partner with.
Yeah, something when you've got a bit of time on your hands. One from George, Saramanda White. Here's a question regarding infused NFTs. Will they be useful for all of the upcoming games or just Lords of Light?
Yeah, so that's a good question. It's definitely going to be useful in the Lords of Light. Beyond that, so the game that we're publishing externally, that's a separate game, as we discussed earlier, made by separate developers. So the infused NFTs are unlikely to have any impact there. And then it's a similar story for the games that we're licensing to, Kampai Pandas or NFT projects. But potentially the other game that we're developing in-house will have some ability to utilize your infused NFT as well. So the full game titles that we're developing in-house, that's where the likely use of infused NFTs will come in. Everything else will likely be separate ecosystems.
It's important. Oh, sorry. It's important to keep in mind as well that when we are looking at where we can potentially as an example here use NFTs, which originally were designed for RTLOL across other projects, we're not going to look at it potentially in the same way that some other Web3 projects might, where they're just going to try and jam it in everywhere they can to make it look like it's got more utility. We're going to actually look at it from a game design perspective and go and actually try to work out where it's actually adding value to the players. I think that's a key point of difference in how we're going to approach like integrations across different titles or different NFTs compared to what a lot of other projects might be doing at the moment.
Excellent. Again from George, in what way does this new collaboration with Chubbyverse help us?
Yeah,
They're
sure.
chubby.
So
They're chubby and they have unicorns. What more do you want?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
all you need.
they're a natural fit with our like meme-based origin. So that was part of the reason we selected them. But look, at a high level, one of the benefits that we have in RTLOL is that our tongue-in-cheek, creative lore kind of allows for us to seamlessly integrate the IP of other projects within the cryptoverse into our game. So that can be NFT projects. It can be, like a lot of the cards have the crypto legends, which are kind of like icons in the crypto world, reimagined as like powerful warriors. What that does is allow us to partner with a pretty broad range of other projects in a way where it's kind of win-win. So Chubbyverse specifically, they are we're looking to do a couple of competitions with them. We'll be announcing the details soon. One will be similar to a Gleam campaign, and then the other will be a sponsored tournament with a prize pool. They're assisting by contributing towards that prize pool for the tournament since it's co-branded. Yeah, and there's a lot more details to come very soon about the intricacies of the Chubbyverse partnership. So yeah, without giving too much away, I think if you just stay tuned a matter of days, then the next medium is going to have a lot of details around that.
Excellent, exciting stuff. I missed this one from Slack actually up the top. Will the next card drop be via Dutch auction?
Yeah, so the intention for the second set, the one that we've all been playtesting that don't have NFT cards released yet, is for the rainbow and unicorn purchases to be done in two ways. You can either buy tickets to a rolling raffle based system, or you can bid on the pack via an auction system. For anyone who missed the explanation there, the rainbow and unicorn system is great because it assigns like a lot of value back to Rainy holders the longer you hold for. However, over time, it is quite an inflationary system. So there's been a lot of calls from some of the long-time holders of Rainy to be able to actually spend their large sums of rainbows and unicorns. The auction system allows the free market to determine what the value of a pack is and potentially allows some of these large holders to purchase packs in that way. However, we didn't want to simultaneously put too big a barrier to entry for new participants or smaller Rainy holders who don't really have the rainbows or unicorns to compete in those auctions. And that's why we're implementing the raffle system too, where it'll be very affordable to buy, one or more tickets, and they're going to be rolling. So it's going to be a gamified system where, you'll want to buy tickets or bid on auctions, like be pretty active in just monitoring the market, because it's going to be rolled out over a period of time where there'll be, an auction and a raffle every day or two or something like that, until the full allocation of card packs has been purchased. The public packs will be done likely just with a fixed price if you're paying like ETH or BNB.
Excellent. This is sort of the last question I have here. From Jupiter Cosmos in Telegram. Does anyone have any more info on the liquidity migration to the X Photon pool?
Yeah, so is this the liquidity pool rewards going from Rainy to X Photon? Or is it not sure what? Okay, so I'll answer it in two parts just because I'm not sure what is being asked here. First of all, recently we migrated the liquidity rewards from Rainy to X Photon. So if you're an LP provider and you haven't logged in yet, we recommend just logging in, and you can click that migrate button. It'll do a few transactions and it'll move you across to a new pool where you'll be able to earn X Photon instead of Rainy. The reason for that is just Rainy's tokenomics are that we're basically 100% circulating supply. So yeah, it's one of the things where there's not the scope of emissions available to continually pay out in a sustainable way. And this should support Rainy price action because there's going to be a lot less Rainy tokens coming into the market that some of the LP providers would be selling. So yeah, all you need to do is log in, migrate across, you'll start earning X Photon instead of Rainy. If you don't do that, then you're still earning unicorns, but you won't be earning any tokens at the moment if you're providing liquidity. Second answer to this question is just if it's more in relation to the X Photon to photon migration, which will happen around the full game launch. X Photon is equivalent to vested photon tokens. So when the full game launches and we launch the actual photon token itself, you'll be able to basically redeem your X Photon for photon that will vest over a period of time. So it might be 6 or 12 months. That again is to ensure that there's no massive supply shock to the ecosystem by having a bunch of photon just be made available and sold day one. And yeah, just to make sure people are integrating with the game and getting into it, give it a good chance to get up and running. Hopefully that answers the question, but if not, feel free to just ping us again.
Excellent. A couple more just came in. Instant Coffee and the Telegram. When are we going to start using our own cards? Is it in the beta release or only on the full release?
So it most likely won't be it definitely won't be the first standalone build that players have access to. So it may not be at the start of the open beta, but definitely before full launch during the open beta period, there will be a point where we basically flick the switch and we turn off basically everyone having access to every card automatically. And at that point, obviously, you'll have access to all of the base cards in the game. So if you actually go into the game, hey, I'm screen sharing, I can show this. Keep in mind that every player will always have access to what we refer to as the base cards. These may not be the most powerful cards in the game. Where's the filter I'm looking for? There we go. Turn on that filter there. No, turn on that filter. There we go. So all these cards here. And some of these do see play in a lot of competitive decks. Yield farming definitely sees play. Energy blast definitely sees play. The wizards, especially, are quite powerful. So all of these cards will be unlocked for every account, regardless. And theoretically, this is all you need. You could actually build like a 1 or 2 color deck just using these base cards and be able to play the game. But yeah, from that point when we do make the switch, you will need to own any other cards you wish to use in your account in some way. But again, we'll be giving plenty of notice for when that's happening, and we'll definitely be pushing out mediums and such with all the details there as well. The only other thing to keep in mind, there may be specific events down the road where we do actually allow all cards to be used. This is similar to what a lot of other digital trading card games do when they have, say, for example, like a world championship or something of that sort of like large scale event. They obviously want to make sure that players who qualify for an event such as that have access to everything. So there will be specific events where we actually can flick that switch back on and you can build decks using any card regardless of what you own. But obviously that will be that will happen maybe once or twice a year sort of thing. There'll be a very specific set of events that we're looking at that for. But yeah, from that point where we flick the switch, you'll need to have any non-base cards will need to be unlocked in your account.
Excellent. This one's from Rainy Corn Official. Keeping an eye on you guys. When's the next Twitter space that Artkin and Alcatraz will be on? Smiley face.
That'll be Thursday, actually. So we're going to be on the Chubbyverse and Rainy Twitter space, hosted by the Chubbyverse. So if you haven't already, head on over to their Twitter page and follow them. I believe it's going to be about half an hour earlier than this one in 2 days' time.
Awesome. From Tyler Berry, what source of revenue continues to drive the growth of the studio, and how does that intend to evolve in the future?
Yes, that's a good question, given the broader macro environment and market conditions. Right now, we are in development and build mode, so we don't really have sources of revenue. We are more using the resources that we have contributed to us by our partners, our investor partners, and the revenue from the first pack drop to cover all our development costs and build the game out. Naturally, there's a number of different revenue sources that we expect to come online once we get to the full game launch. And in the interim, the main source of revenue is going to be coming from card pack drops. So we still have a couple more card pack drops that will likely be released before the full game launch or in time for it. And that'll be one source of revenue, but then the rest of it will come after the full game launch and we get everything online. So we'll provide all the details as we get closer to that.
Awesome. Looks like it's possibly the last question, Crypto Cloaker. Will we be adding support for stakers to consolidate their rainbows and unicorns that are spread over ETH, BNB, and Phantom into a single chain? I think we already have that. I'm not sure, do we?
So we have it's called a point bridge. There's a system for us to manually enable points to be transferred across chains. We do that sometimes in preparation for drops. The reason we started doing that is just in the height of the manic bull run, ETH gas fees sometimes got prohibitive, and so some of our stakers had bought on ETH and staked and earned points that they then were priced out of actually spending through the gas fees. So we transfer to BSC and vice versa in certain cases. So yeah, if there's a specific request to transfer points, then send through a message and we can run it by the team. It is by our discretion, however. We don't like opening that up more broadly or automating it because sometimes with NFT drops, we have wallet limits as to how many packs you can buy. Sometimes those wallet limits are chain agnostic and sometimes they're per chain. So there is a little bit of a gamification in spreading your points across multiple chains. There's some pros and cons. So we don't just want to make a uniform rule that you can start moving them around freely. It's kind of if you've got a good reason to move them and it's like a one-off request, ask us and we can look at doing that. yeah, but that's basically the process that we already have in place.
He's just clarified that, saying apologies. I meant that are there plans to add that as an option on the Rainy site without having to go through or harass you?
Yeah, no, I don't think we want to make it automated just because it basically impedes our ability from a design space to do NFT drops with wallet limits and stuff like that. So yeah, we don't really want to make that automated.
Yeah,
No, that makes sense.
The problem, especially if it was automated, we'd probably have to like add like a photon fee or even a Rainy fee. Like it's just, yeah. If you need to do it, please reach out and message us. And yeah, we can take it from there.
Guys, that seems to be it on the questions. Going through all the Telegrams, Discord, and on here. That's it from questions at the moment.
Awesome.
Yeah, cool. Easy done.
Thanks heaps for sending them. Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully this added some value. Hopefully there's a chance to pop in, ask some questions. Obviously we haven't gotten, if there's questions we've missed somewhere, please feel free to ping us and we can definitely ask them next week. Our hope is to do something like this on a weekly basis. So again, please reach out on Telegram, Discord. Let us know any feedback. Is this a good time for you? Is there better time zones? We're tossing up doing it both on YouTube so we can like show games and show cards and stuff like that, and potentially also doing it as a Twitter space at like simultaneously. But yeah, otherwise, have a good day, everyone. And yeah, like I said, there'll be a new medium coming out fairly soon. And obviously, yeah, Ark and myself will be on that Chubbyverse Twitter space in basically 2 days from an hour ago is the best way to think of it. But yeah, it's all it'll be on Twitter as well.
Excellent. Nicely. Well done, guys. Thank you.
Cool.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.
Have a good day, everyone. And yeah, thanks for joining us.
Cool.